The last call from the grave. Late autumn. Rain drizzles softly, sliding down the window pane. A dim lamp casts flickering shadows on the walls. Alina sits on her bed, replaying the last few days in her mind. Katya's funeral was 3 days ago. Her best friend is gone, or is she? The phone lights up, piercing through the silence. Absent-mindedly, Alina glances at the screen and freezes. The name on the display makes her chest tighten. Katya? Impossible. Katya is dead. But the phone is ringing. Alina hesitates, then swipes to answer. Silence. Just faint static, like a bad connection. And then, a whisper. Alina, help me. Her breath catches. She jerks her hand away, the phone slipping to the floor. That was Katya's voice. Muffled, distorted, like it came from underground. Ilya, their mutual friend, doesn't believe in ghosts, but when he hears the call recording, his face pales. He suggests they go to the cemetery. Check. Maybe someone is playing a sick joke. Midnight. The trees surrounding the graveyard sway with the wind, their bare branches clawing at the sky. The moon barely peeks through the thick clouds. Alina and Ilya walk down a narrow path between the tombstones. The air is damp, thick with the scent of wet earth and dying flowers. Fog clings to the ground, swallowing the gravestones like silent sentinels. Maybe it's just a prank, Ilya murmurs, glancing around. A phone glitch? Alina doesn't answer. Her eyes lock onto a headstone ahead. It looks fresh. The polished granite bears a name. Katya. Her phone screen flickers to life again. She grips it tightly, hands trembling. Katya. This isn't real. Ilya steps closer, his grip tightening on the shovel he brought, just in case. The call ends abruptly, but Alina already heard the words, the same as before. They won't let me go. Ilya starts digging. The earth is loose, like it was disturbed recently. Each shovelful of dirt lands with a hollow thud, and then the shovel hits something solid. A coffin. Alina's pulse pounds in her ears. Ilya scrapes away the remaining dirt and hesitates before prying open the lid. Empty. No body, just a black dirt-covered phone lying at the bottom. Screen flickers on, one unread message. Alina, hands shaking, lifts the phone and reads the message. I'm alive. Save me. The next day they go to the police. The story sounds insane, but when the authorities exhume the grave, coffin is indeed empty. No body, no explanation. That night, Alina tries to sleep, but she can't. Every creak in her apartment feels louder. The shadows in the corners seem darker. And then, the phone vibrates again. She doesn't want to look, but her hands move on their own. Katya, why didn't you help me? Alina drops the phone. Her breath comes in ragged gasps. She knows this isn't over. Ilya suggests they dig deeper, look for clues. Something doesn't add up. If Katya's body isn't in the grave, then where is it? They return to the cemetery the next night. The air is colder. The wind feels unnatural, as if whispering secrets meant to stay buried. They bring lanterns and another shovel. This time they dig further past the coffin. The soil is strangely loose, almost as if someone tried to cover something up in a hurry. Then Ilya's shovel hits something. Not wood, not stone, but fabric. A sleeve. Alina's breath catches. With shaking hands, they clear more dirt away and reveal a pale, lifeless hand. The fingers twitch. Alina screams, stumbling back as the ground shifts. Ilya grabs her arm, pulling her away as a deep guttural moan echoes from beneath them. The phone in Alina's pocket buzzes violently. She pulls it out, and the screen is flooded with messages. Let me out. You left me. I'm still here. The ground cracks. A decayed face, barely recognizable as Katya's, emerges from the soil, eyes open, lips curling into something between a scream and a smile. Alina and Ilya run. They never return to the graveyard. The police investigate but find nothing. The grave is undisturbed. Katya's body is still missing. But Alina knows the truth. The final call comes at midnight. She looks at the screen, breath hitching in her throat. It's not Katya's number. The message simply says, "Now it's your turn." The one who came from nowhere. In July 2018, two hikers were making their way through the dense thickets of Big Cypress in Florida. These places are rarely visited, even by the most experienced travelers. There were no marked trails here, only swamps, rotting trees, and an eerie silence that made their ears ring. Something oppressive lingered in the air, creating the unsettling feeling that they were being watched. About an hour into their hike, they stumbled upon something strange. Between the trees stood a small yellow tent. It looked almost new, but something was off. A sense of an unseen presence, the damp, musty smell, the complete absence of sounds. No birds, no insects buzzing, just the hushed waiting forest. They exchanged glances. There were no footprints, no litter, no fire pit, as if the tent had appeared out of nowhere. Hesitantly, one of the hikers called out, "Hey, is anyone there?" No answer. A second attempt. Still silence. They cautiously approached and lifted the flap. Inside lay a man. He looked to be in his 40s, thin with an unshaven face as if he hadn't shaved in months. He was dead. Damn. One of them exhaled, stepping back. The body lay neatly, hands folded across the chest. It seemed like he had simply gone to sleep and never woken up. There were no signs of struggle, no scratches, no blood. No belongings around except for a notebook, carefully placed beside him. The hikers exchanged uneasy looks. "We need to call the police." But there was no cell signal. Leaving the tent, they hurried back to the nearest town to report what they had found. The mystery of his identity. When the police arrived at the scene, the body was still lying there, in the same position. After examining the area, investigators found no clues that could shed light on his identity. No documents, no credit cards, no phone. His fingerprints didn't match any database. He wasn't listed as missing or wanted. Only one strange detail. The last entry in the notebook beside him was short and chilling. "I'm already near." Near who? Near what? What did it mean? Trying to identify him, police shared his photo online. People began to share memories. Some had seen him on popular hiking trails, but he always kept to himself, never traveling with anyone, never staying in one place for long. Some remembered brief conversations with him, but no one knew his name. Others claimed he was friendly yet odd, never speaking about himself, never revealing his destination. Over time, the internet gave him a nickname, mostly harmless. But was he really? Strange coincidences. Weeks after his body was found, eerie details began to emerge. A woman claimed she had met him in the Oregon woods a year earlier. A man said he had seen him in the Appalachians in 2016. But here's the strangest part. He looked exactly the same. He hadn't aged. The same long hair, the same gaunt stare. Could he have survived in the wild for years, wandering endlessly? Or was there another explanation for his presence in different places at different times? Just when the case was about to be closed, investigators found footage from a trail camera in the preserve. taken 2 weeks before his death. In the video, the man is seen walking into the woods, heading toward his final camp. He moves, but something is following him. A blurry shadow among the trees, tall, with unnaturally long limbs. The police dismissed it as a trick of the light, a glitch in the camera. But why did everyone who watched the video feel like that thing was staring directly at them? The aftermath. The case of Mostly Harmless remains unsolved. His body was buried as an unidentified person. But hikers who take the same route through Big Cypress have reported seeing a yellow tent among the trees, even after it was long removed. Some claim that late at night, deep in the forest, they can hear a soft whisper. I'm already near. A solution or a new mystery? Years passed. The story faded, but not for everyone. In 2022, a hiker from Georgia posted a video online, retracing the same route. On the footage, the tent was gone, but a strange sound was caught by the microphone, a quiet, droning voice. And then for just a few seconds, a figure flickered between the trees, a man with an unshaven face and dark eyes. No doubt about it. It was him. Mostly harmless. But how? And what does he want?
We've all heard strange stories about the subway. Passengers who vanish, trains that don't exist on the schedule. But one story still haunts me. I heard it from a subway worker, someone who had seen things they couldn't explain. And after hearing it, I never sit in the last car again. Back in the late 90s, the city started expanding the subway system. New tunnels, new stations, everything was going according to plan. Until one day, construction workers broke through a tunnel. That wasn't on any blueprint. When they checked the records, they found something strange. A station was supposed to be there, but for some reason, it was never opened. The workers went inside, and what they saw didn't make sense. Everything looked untouched. Old advertisements on the walls, rusted benches, newspapers from decades ago. But the strangest thing, the lights were still on, as if the station had never been abandoned. The workers didn't investigate any further. A few days later, the tunnel was sealed, and no one ever spoke about it again. But after that, weird things started happening. Subway operators began seeing a train that wasn't in the system, a late-night train, always empty, running the same route. But that's not the worst part. Passengers who boarded the last car never got off. Security cameras captured people getting on. But when the train arrived at the next station, the last car was empty, like they had just vanished. Some witnesses claimed they saw shadows moving inside, not people, something else. One subway security guard decided to test the legend. He waited until the last train of the night and stepped into the last car. The next morning, his coworkers found his bag, his radio, his uniform, neatly placed on a seat. But the guard himself was never seen again.
Have you ever wondered what's really hiding in the dark web? I always thought it was just a myth, until I found myself inside it. And now, I don't even feel safe turning on my computer. This is my story. If you believe in the supernatural, keep watching. If If not, close this video right now. It all started late at night. I was bored, scrolling through forums, reading creepy stories about the dark web. I wasn't looking for anything illegal, just curious. But then, I saw a strange post. It was short, no details, just a cryptic message. There's a website that only appears to those who are truly searching for it. No links, no explanations. Just a hint. If you know where to look, you'll find it. Something about it felt unsettling, but curiosity got the best of me. I started searching, testing keywords, clicking deeper into forums I probably shouldn't have been on. And then, after what felt like hours, I found something. The page was completely black. No graphics, no buttons, just a single line of white text. You have found us. I stared at the screen, confused. Was this a joke? I tried clicking, moving my mouse. Nothing. But suddenly, the text changed. We know who you are. At first, I thought it was just some generic scare tactic. But then, I saw something that made my stomach drop. My IP address. My city. My street. My full name. I froze. My entire body went cold. I hadn't entered anything. I hadn't logged in anywhere. Yet somehow, they knew. I immediately closed the site, shut down my computer, and sat there, heart pounding. Maybe it was just a scare tactic, some kind of prank. But then, my phone rang. The caller ID was blocked. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My hands were shaking. I just sat there, staring at my phone, listening to it vibrate on the table. Then after what felt like an eternity, the ringing stopped. I exhaled, trying to calm myself down. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe I was overreacting. But just as I was about to convince myself that it was all in my head, there was a knock at my door. It was late. I wasn't expecting anyone. Slowly, I got up and walked to the peephole. My apartment was on the 3rd floor, and I lived alone. Who could possibly be here at this hour? I hesitated for a moment before looking through the peephole, and when I did, my blood ran cold. There was no one there. No footsteps. No shadows. Just silence. I stood frozen, barely breathing. I hadn't heard footsteps. No shuffling. No movement. Just silence. But I knew what I'd heard. Someone. Something. Had knocked. I waited, listening. My heart was racing. Should I open the door? Call someone? But before I could decide, my phone buzzed again. A text message. No sender, no number. Just 4 words. Don't open the door. My chest tightened. How did they know? How could they possibly know that I was standing right there, hesitating? I locked every door and window in my apartment and stayed up the entire night, watching, waiting, listening, but nothing else happened. By morning, I felt exhausted and paranoid. Had I imagined it? Was it all just an elaborate trick? I don't know. But ever since that night, I have never visited the dark web again. do you think? Was this just a coincidence, or was someone really watching me? Let me know in the comments.